Hello everyone, hope you're all doing wonderfully. Welcome back to this week's video. This week I'm going to talk about times when women are hit on by men and their reactions to being hit on, and then the guys' reactions to the women's reactions. I think it's an interesting thing to discuss because obviously this happens a lot and there can be, bad intentions, or there can be just innocent intentions, and I think it's just a good thing to discuss. And basically before I started doing these videos I thought, what do I have to say that's new or that people haven't heard before? And then someone pointed out that we have our experiences to give. I have my experiences and they're my own stories to tell, and nobody else has lived that experience besides me. And so I thought it'd be funny to talk about some of the stories that I have or that friends have had when they've been hit on and their reactions. And I think why I want to talk about this is because it's really hard to know how to react. So you can either do the, oh no, I'm not interested, and then you fear the consequences of that, or you can make up excuses and then there could be consequences of that. And I just think it's interesting to discuss it and some examples that I have had. So one I'm going to start with is a few years ago I was seeing this guy, very, very casual, a good friend of mine, and we were just in a cafe one day, just as like friends. I think I actually had run into him, and he was like, oh, well, like, pop to yours, will we hang out? And I was like, oh no, I'm really tired. And he was like, oh no, but it'll be fun. And I was like, oh well no, I just have loads to do. And he was like what? And I was like, oh, like, I don't know, college work or whatever. And he was like, oh well, you can do that tomorrow. And I was like, oh, but like my room is really dirty, like I need to clean it. And he was like, well, you can do that later or tomorrow or whatever. And like this kept going on. I just kept making excuses. And like a great guy now, a good friend of mine, like really nice. Because they were excuses, he was finding ways to get out of each of them, all of them, because they were just stupid excuses and they were false. So this kept going on. I kept making an excuse and he kept finding something to rebuff it. And then after a while I was just like, oh, yeah, I just don't want to actually. And he was like, oh, that's okay, that's fine. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I just don't want to. And he was like, that's absolutely fine. Why didn't you just say that before? And I was like, oh my god, I don't know. And like in that moment I was just like so shocked that, and this was a guy that I was not afraid of the reaction, consciously anyway, and yet here I was still making all these excuses as to why I didn't want to hang out. And I'm still actually gobsmacked at myself for doing that because it's just so silly. This was a time when I knew that I was completely safe and that he would not get mad at all. That was proved when I said, oh, actually, you just don't want to. And he was like, Lauren, that's absolutely fine. And I was just like, oh my god. I just thought like that was so sad because like I knew that I was safe in that situation, and yet I still felt the need to make excuses after excuses because that's obviously what I was just used to doing, or what women are used to doing. And I just think that is just like the saddest thing. Then another story that I have is of a friend of mine, a former colleague. We worked in this place together, and we were in work and there was just this guy who was just so inappropriate all the time. And she had gone downstairs to his office to do something. He obviously had asked her to go for a drink or something later on that day, and then she came back up and she was like, oh my god, like so-and-so just asked me out. And I was like, oh my god, what did you say? And I said no. And I said, yeah, but like what excuse did you give? And she was like, nothing, I just said no. And I was like, no, but like what did you tell him? Like what did you say, that you were busy and that you couldn't do it, or like what did you say? And she was like, Lauren, I just said no. And I was shocked. To this day I still have so much respect for her because I'm just like, oh my god. If I had been in that instance I would have been like, oh my god, I'm just busy, I can't, I have this and this to do. But she was just like, no. And it's just like, oh my god, that is so amazing. And like it's just so sad. Like I expected her to have made an excuse. I was like, what excuse did you give? You had to give an excuse. But she was just like, I just said no. And that was good enough, and that is absolutely fine, and it's amazing. And I was just like, oh, amazing. Then another example I want to talk about is I was in a club a few years ago, and I think it was just like me and a couple of my friends, and we were just in a group with a load of people, and this guy, he kind of put his arm around me, and I think he was just like, oh, do you want to go dance or something? Like very chill. There was loads of people around. So I actually just felt, in that instance, I felt comfortable enough to be like, oh, like, thanks, but I'm not interested, but thank you so much though. And you could tell that he was like taken aback that I had just been so straightforward. And thankfully he was very lovely, and he was just like, oh, thank you, that's absolutely no problem, thank you for being so direct, and that's cool. And I was like, yeah, this is great. just being direct and actually just saying what I mean is amazing for once. That's an example. Like, I was so lucky that he, oh god, I shouldn't even have to be lucky that he reacted well, but in that instance I felt lucky that he reacted so nicely. And like, the one thing I can't help but think in that moment, like the guy who asked me to go dance, he was black, and I can't help but think in that like moment, like, that's why he reacted so graciously, that like, that if he had been white he might not have reacted so well, because, you know, white men are used to being entitled, and maybe that because that was a black man, that he obviously is not used to that sense of entitlement to women's bodies, or anything for that matter. So I just think it's an interesting thing to think of, I don't know. Then there was another time, I was in London a few years ago with a friend, and it was just the two of us, and we were just in a bar, and she was like off talking to a guy, and that's absolutely fine. So I was kind of just there, just kind of on my own, bopping about, and this guy comes over, you know, the usual, like, it was all very obvious. I was just like, oh god, why is he doing this now? But like, lovely guy chatting away to me, and to be honest, I wasn't uncomfortable, I wasn't awkward, but I was just like, I'm so not able for this whole situation right now. So after a while, I was just like, because realistically I knew what he was after, realistically I knew that he was trying to, you know, hit on me. And so I was just like, you know, you're lovely and all, but just to let you know, you're wasting your time. That it's just like, you're not gonna get anything from this, basically. And you could tell, like, in that moment he was again taken aback at the directness of it all, but again I felt safe enough that I could say this without, you know, kind of a negative repercussion. You could tell that he was just kind of a bit in shock. You could tell as well that he was sad for me, that I felt the need to say that like, that I knew that he just wanted one thing in that moment, and that, in fairness to him, like, right afterwards he was like, oh, okay, no worries, I mean, we can just be friends. And I was like, okay, thanks, that's nice, thank you very much, yeah. So he kind of hung around for another few minutes, just I think to like prove that he wasn't actually after just that one thing, and that like he meant it when he said that we could actually be friends. But obviously, like, you know, he's on a night out, we're on a night out, he probably, you know, wanted to talk to someone. But in any case, I wasn't interested in even making a friend. I just wanted to be on my own. I was just happy out chilling, dancing, like, you know. So after a few minutes he was like, it's lovely to meet you, I'm gonna head, you know, to the bar or something. And I was just like, no worries, thanks so much, bye. And it was a very pleasant interaction, it was all very lovely. But again, it was just like, you could tell that he was just shocked that I even felt the need to point that out. I think he was sad that I assumed straight away that he was only after one thing, even though that probably was what he was after, or that I thought bad of him, that I thought his intentions were just that. Even though they probably were, but I think he was taken aback that I wasn't just like playing along with the whole charade, I don't know. And I think, like, you know, like, they're all kind of actually predominantly positive examples. You know, there have been a lot of bad ones, you know, where you're just on the street and you're at a club and you're like, oh no, I don't want to, and a guy just keeps hammering on, keeps trying to get you to do something, I don't know, and you're just like, no, and it's just like, oh. But I wanted to talk about these because I think there is so much power in being direct and just saying how you feel, and I think all women should be more direct and say what we feel. Notwithstanding that, obviously there are times when we have to make excuses and we have to just not be direct because we're fearful of what might happen, and that is 100% legitimate excuse. But I suppose I want to talk about this and, you know, to encourage people to just, you know, when you feel safe and when you feel like you can, be more direct, because good guys will appreciate it. One, it will save a lot of time, it will save a lot of back and forth, it will save just a lot of just bullshit. And I just think, oh, being honest is just the best. Like, we're all just being straightforward, it's all out on the table, there's no bullshit. Like with, you know, my friend in the cafe, like, when I made excuses, he found solutions to the excuses, you know, and it kept going back and forth until I just said, you know, I actually just don't want to. And that was absolutely fine. And so I just think, like women have such good instincts, and I think we really don't, and again, like, this is, I'm saying this to me as much as I am to anybody else, we really don't trust our instincts. And I think, you know, sometimes when it's a bit of a dodgy situation, and you know, maybe when you don't feel that safe, like, it is totally fair in that instance to make up an excuse. But I think we also know when it's okay, when you're, you know, when you're surrounded by people that you know, and maybe this guy is nice and he's just, you know, trying to be friendly, and you know that you can say, oh no thanks, I'm not interested. I think we really need to use that power more. And again, I would love it, like, for people to comment on this with your opinions. And I know that there definitely have been times when women, they have been upfront and they have been honest, and then something bad has happened, and so I would never want to be telling everyone go out there and tell men fuck off. But I think, you know, when you can and when you feel safe, you know, be upfront, and it's really nice, and you know, men appreciate it, but it actually feels really good because you're standing up for yourself, you're being honest, you're saying how you feel, and you actually feel really empowered in those moments. And like when the guy respects it, oh, it's just the best feeling. And again, you know, this is not awards for good boys, this is not, you know, like, oh, men, they're so good when they respect your boundaries. No, but it does feel really, really good when everything's out in the open and everyone's being nice and it's all very courteous. So yeah, on that note, I like one thing I have written down, when girls or when women say oh no, I have a boyfriend, this one kills me. First of all, they say it when they don't have boyfriends, and then they say it when they do have boyfriends. I hate it in both instances, because one, you don't have a boyfriend, and so the guy you're saying it to, if the guy then says, oh, okay, fine, no worries, it kills me, because he's basically respecting another man's property, as opposed to you just saying no. He won't take the no from you, he'll take the fact that you have a boyfriend and like the threat of another man over just respecting the fact that you might not want to. So that annoys me. But then also, if you do have a boyfriend, again, same thing, if you do have a boyfriend, like, fair enough, maybe if you would go out with him if you didn't have a boyfriend, but I know that, like, if I was to say that, if I would say, oh yeah, no, sorry, I have a boyfriend, I don't mean that. I mean that I wouldn't want to do it anyway. And so, if you're saying, oh no, sorry, I have a boyfriend, what the guy is hearing is that, okay, so you would go out with me if you didn't have a boyfriend. And then they might actually keep trying, they might not respect the fact that you have a boyfriend. Say boyfriend again, Aaron, boyfriend. So just, yeah, I hate that one. And again, I know that it's just women just trying to stay safe and, you know, like, get the guy to go away quickly. But again, I hate that one, because it's just like, why are they respecting another guy over your own wants and needs? So yeah, I just kind of hate that one. Then I have this other story that I think is just kind of like sad. Sad way to end the video. I remember I was working somewhere years ago, and it was like kind of our Christmas party, and I was 19, I was very young, I knew nothing about the world, and I was very young and I was very female, and I was in like a bar with like my boss and stuff, and like a load of older men, and we were in the bar, and this guy, actually a young guy, comes over to me, and he's trying to crack on to me. He's like, oh, do you want a drink? And I was like, oh no thanks, I have one, I'm fine, thanks. And even in that instance, that was me making an excuse. Even if I didn't have a drink, I still wouldn't have wanted a drink off him, because I knew what he wanted. So yeah, you know, I'm a terror for this as well, just so we all know. So he was just kind of chatting to me, and I was 19, I was very young, very green, knew nothing. And my boss comes over, and it was kind of cute. My boss was very nice guy, and I think he was kind of doing the whole paternal thing in that moment, and he just looked at the guy and he was just like, don't even try it. And the guy just laughed. We were all just laughing, because I was just like, thanks, yeah. And again, in that moment, I hated the fact that another man needed to come over and like rescue me. But, you know, the guy who offered to buy me the drink was nice, and he just laughed, and he was like, okay, fine, like, you know, I'll leave. And so he walked away, but in that moment, my boss, again, lovely guy, but I'll never forget, he was like, I'm sorry about that, but it's just something you're gonna have to get used to. And I was just like, oh, that's so sad. And like, you know, I was 19, I wasn't really a feminist then, I didn't really know anything, but like even then I knew that like he was right. You know, that's the sad thing, that like he wasn't even being an asshole, he was right. It is something that women have to get used to, and it's just sad. So yeah, I don't know why I felt the need to put that story in there. But I think, you know, like, it is something that happens, and like, I don't mean that, you know, men just have to like stop hitting on women, because that can lead to a lot of relationships and good things. But I guess my lesson is just like, it's okay if you don't want a guy hitting on you, it's okay to say no, it's okay to not be into it, it's also okay to say yes, and that's absolutely fine, and lead on to lovely things. But if you don't want to, it's so okay to just say no if you feel safe to do so. And I just think it's good to talk about these things and get everyone aware. So that's about it for this week. Hope you're all enjoying them so far. This one I think is a really kind of, it's not really kind of a black and white issue, so I really would have loved if people kind of sound out in the comments, or even like people have been sending me loads of messages since I started doing the videos, and they tell me like their own stories and different things, and I actually love that, and I'm actually learning so much from even just other people writing to me. So yeah, if you have any, you know, stories like that, you know, totally feel free to comment or write to me. I love hearing them. So yeah, so thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!